welcome back to another episode of the Whiskey Diaries. My name is Martin Lang, and today we're going to be talking about the 4th editions of the Balbini Stories. We have covered the first 3 editions, but just to give you a little bit of recap, the Balbini Stories is a story that the Balvenie Distillery started releasing in 2019 to commemorate and to appreciate all the workers and all the males and females that have actually been doing whiskies for generations, and tell the stories of each one individually, from the casks to the heather to the barley to the water to everything, cask making, whiskey making, and so on and so on. So the first edition was a 12-year-old that it was basically an odd just to celebrate how Balvenie creates has a very particular toast on the barrel. The 14-year-old is to celebrate in 2002 the first week of peat, or the peat week in Scotland, in which they got a lot of peated whiskey into the Balvenie, and they create the first Balvenie edition that it was a peated cask. Then they did the 26-year-old that it was commemoration on the 1996 when they received by accident the charred barley, and then they did a charred barley whiskey that eventually they released in 2004 or so, or 2006, in which they released a 14-year-old charred barley whiskey, which was delicious, by the way. Now they did 19-year-old. This is for the 4th edition. That is a 19-year-old, and it's called the Edge of Burnhead Wood. And this one is basically a celebration of how Balvenie early in the 80s, when Balvenie first started going up, how they created this whiskey from farm to bottle. Basically, the barley was made in the Balvenie estate. The water comes from the Cornwall Hills, and then obviously they get all the casks and everything is done on site. So basically, it's just to celebrate that. Also, it's when Balvenie first started producing whiskey, they call it the heather trials, and that means that basically they just try to do everything in the distillery and just produce it itself. Now, obviously, we talked about Balvenie many times in this channel. They produce their own. They have their own cooperage, so they can work on their own barrels. They do have a farm in which they produce all the barley, even though they produce so much whiskey that not all the barley that is produced in state actually goes into the bottle. They obviously bring some out of. They have the malting floors as well. So yeah, it's a very self-sustainable distillery, and it's delicious. I always say that it's one of my favorite whiskies. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and try it. I haven't tried this one before. We just literally just got it in the last couple of weeks. There it goes. So a few not even interesting facts, but a few notes to get to know about this whiskey in particular. It's non-chill filtered. It's bottled at 48.7 ABV, so it's quite high. And I like the fact that it's non-chill filtered. It's actually going to come out quite raw, and just showing how good the Balvenie actual base spirit is as well. There's a bottle. This is American oak as well. You can tell by the color as well. It's quite light compared to like Balvenie 17 or Balvenie 12-year-old. They have a little bit more sherry influence. That's actually quite spicy on the nose. Wow, yeah, that's definitely has a kick to it. You probably need to add a little bit of water, but you get like a little bit of honey, you get cloves, you get a lot of spiciness, and at the end a little bit of sweetness. But at 47%, this is one of the strongest Balvenies I've tried. Even the ton 1490 still, which is higher ABV, still seems a little bit smoother than this one. Don't let that put you off. Actually, just with a little bit of water, this will be delicious. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Slanjava.